We answer to the individual who's looking for new employment, and then we answer to the employer, the one who writes us a check. And so we needed to recognize the fact that that candidate that's looking for a job, when we place them with the employer, our client, they move over. Like we're in the middle, they all of a sudden flip over. Now they're a client. And if you don't treat the person well, and if their experience isn't a great experience, then when they get on the other side, that's going to be the end of you.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Your Customer, Your Success. My guest today is Bill Kasko, President and CEO of Frontline Source Group, a top staffing and recruiting firm with national reach. Bill has led the company's growth across the United States by focusing on personalized service and smart recruiting strategies. He's also an active community leader, serving on several boards and sharing his insights on recruitment strategies, workforce dynamics, and what's really going on in the job market. He's led his company through major economic shift, developed a unique 5-year placement guarantee that turned heads across his industry, and created a trademark methodology called People.Process.Service that's helping businesses hire smarter. Bill, we are super excited to have you here today. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, Gary. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it was great talking to you originally, setting up for the show. But like I said, I want to get kind of started real quick today in this one. Let's just get to what everybody's been thinking about, the job market, from where you sit. What's been going on lately this year? I know last year was terrible for a lot of people. What do you see going on right now?
Total chaos is the best way to put it, right?
I was hoping for something different, but I'm not surprised.
It's an interesting market because it's still very vibrant, and it really hasn't slowed down. So I think it's a difficult question to ask, like for one answer, because it's so many multi parts to it. Also, it didn't just start. This isn't something that just all of a sudden kind of went into this whole debacle, if you will. We got to peel it back, the onion, to get to the core of everything, and go back 18 months and then go forward to figure out where we're at today. And it's not just, the economic side of things. Yes, the tariffs and the changes. Okay, sure. But, at the end of the day, we're going to build more in America. So we're going to need more people. And then the reality of everything going on is just change. And it's change with, the technology piece alone I believe has created a bigger uncertainty out there than anything else. And so it's not that we woke up, on November 1st and went, oh my gosh, AI has taken over. It's that we woke up on October 31st and said AI took over. That's really what the news is. And the point is that technology used to change or be rolled out to businesses or to our country. It would take years for something to happen. The beginning of a microwave didn't happen overnight, and a spacecraft to a space shuttle didn't happen overnight. AI is different. AI is like, I was sitting on the back patio and I was thinking about how could I have something cut my grass quicker? And I wonder if there's a way I could do that. And then like 24 hours later, it's developed like the schematic of a patent of how to create this special product that will eat your grass. I don't know. It's mind-boggling. And so we're all, it's the squirrel, it's the shiny bell. It's we're being distracted and turning, which it creates, questions within companies. Do we need all these people? Do we need this? What else can we do? It's not going to take away either. By the way, there's a shortage of people working. Mm-hmm. So it's not that, they're flooding the market. In the past month or so, have the weekly jobless claims gone up a little bit? Yeah. Sure. But guess what? They needed to, because when you're having an issue, just even going to the grocery store to find somebody who can check you out of a stand, and there's no one there because they can't hire enough people, there's a problem. And so technology and all of these changes, this is all part of it. When the internet came out, same thing. Think about when we first had websites. It's just part of it, but it's still it's the best place to be by far in the world. There's plenty of opportunity still, and there's plenty of activity. You just have to find it. No, every business is not doing, gangbusters. I mean, but guess what? That's the way it's always been, even during COVID at 13% unemployment, we still had 87% working.
Right.
So, don't always look at it just the one way. I'm more optimistic today than I was 60, 90 days ago, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, but I think chaotic is just the right word, right? Because it depends on who you are, what you're doing, what you're looking for, what stage you are in your career, and there's just this uncertainty, and I think it's become a lot harder for, believe it or not, for people who might be a little more advanced in their career to find.
Well, and usually those people have been through these changes. Well, I mean, I myself have been through that enough times to, number one, recognize it's coming. It's about every 6 to 8 years that we go through this unusual kind of cleaning of the house, if you will, right? And so companies drop and then they pick up and they drop and then something happens. And I mean, if you go through history and look at it, we're just going through another cycle. And I believe in November of 2024, we bottomed out. That was the bottoming of the cycle coming through it, and we were on the way back up. Now, could we have guessed that the tariffs were going to come out and create that much uncertainty? No, I don't think we could have. We all went into January thinking, oh my gosh, all I heard was there's so much money on the sidelines in private equity. You guys better be ready to hire all these people. And then it was like crickets.
Yeah.
And so it didn't happen, but then it slowly started picking up month after month. It's been better. But I agree. I think, unfortunately, the technology piece of it for people that are a little bit more senior, it's a little scarier for sure. Yeah. People even being open to have a conversation. Do I want to make a change? Do I not want to make a change? Because if they leave and they go somewhere else, now they're the last one in, and if something happens, they're going to be the first one out.
The LIFO.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. And so then it makes them more cautious. But I had a call this morning with a potential new client looking to hire like an entire C-suite and staff, and there's opportunity. And that's the beauty of our country, is that the opportunity is what you make of it and what you do when you're put in that situation. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the tools that we have today, I mean, we didn't have LinkedIn 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Right. I mean, I got out of college and grade school or high school. I mean, we didn't have things like that. I mean, we still communicated by a payphone. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that was just, it's not the same place. And the tools that are at our hands today are incredible. It's persistence, though, with people. That's the one thing I can say, that if you look at LinkedIn right now and you follow LinkedIn at all and you're reading and hearing people and their stories, it's extremely sad. Right. You hate hearing that about somebody being out of work that long and the number of applications. And then again, now they get into the whole, like, I'm being ghosted by these people. And it's like, wait a minute, they're not necessarily ghosting you. It's just, you may not have been a right fit. I mean, should they be communicating? Yes. I mean, think about that. That's one of the things with AI that scares me. It's like, are we still going to communicate? Or are we just going to communicate through bots or agents, whatever they're going to call them next month?
Yeah. Agent sounds better, but right. Yeah. Because they're not really agents, right?
No, I need an agent.
Yeah, that's right. Most people need an agent. So most people don't have an agent. So what? Right. So how has job search changed? And let's give some advice to the job seekers out there before we get into how you help companies with their needs, because you've done some unique things.
Yeah. So, for the individual today, if you think back about a resume, right? A resume was, a one-page document. Then it went to like a 2-page document. And at some point, somebody had this idea, I need a 10-page document, right? and then all of a sudden, it went back to a 1-page document. Okay. It's important to understand that, because it's the same cycle that we go through with almost everything. It's like emails. When we first had email, we all loved emails. We were doing nonstop emails. Oh my gosh, got to have emails. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have another email. Yeah. Right. And then all of a sudden emails are back in. Cell phones were the same way, the technology and understanding that. I got voicemail. Oh, my voicemail is so cool. Listen to my voicemail. Now, if you leave a message for someone, they're never calling you back. Job search is the same way. Job search today, it has changed in the way that you do things in the process. So having the resume that's quick and easy to be able to see, making sure that your resume is scannable to a computer. Oh, hey, Bill, how do I do that? Make it plain. I mean, nobody looks at a resume and goes, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. We should give them a ribbon. That is not what happens.
Yeah.
Instead, people get all worked up and I got to have a picture and I got to have graphics. If you're a graphic designer, here's a hint, for example, create a regular resume and then send them a link to your portfolio. Don't screw up your resume and put all the content, text, and meta tags in the back of it because it's not going to get through the systems. So when I hear people complain and go, oh, I went into a black hole and I never heard from anybody. And I go, oh, well, send me your resume. And I look at it and I'm like, what the hell is this? This isn't a resume. This is a billboard that you just somebody paid you to create that's going to be on the highway. You need something simple. It's the KISS thing, keep it simple. Simple, 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 simple. I mean, it should be nothing but that. And then LinkedIn is key. Look, I don't care about, first of all, I'm not a social media guy. Let me just start with that. I've never been someone to say, go to social media, spend time on it. This year, my employees about fell over when I said, you guys need to spend a minimum of an hour every day on LinkedIn. They're like, who is this guy? And I'm like, this is our media. This is how we communicate now. And so your profile on LinkedIn, your profile should match up 100% exactly what you are sending to them in that piece of paper, in that resume that you're submitting. And if it doesn't, shame on you, because that's where they're going. They're looking at that. It's the only way anymore, 99%, to truthfully verify who you are. Look, you all these stories out there about, and I don't know if you've heard these or read them. They're amazing, because I think these people, my gosh, if they spent more time doing things legit, how creative could they be? Showing up to interviews and doing video interviews with a virtual face of somebody else, and then the person ends up showing up and it's not the same person, right?
Oh my God, that one I haven't heard.
I mean, it's crazy. But companies are getting burned on this time and time and time again, more and more and more. I mean, we were getting burned in the past with people when it was work from home so much, which I just read this morning. I mean, that's the big push, by the way, is back in the office. But people working 2 to 3 jobs, especially the IT side, it was horrible because these guys were like, I'm not coming in an office. I'm an IT developer. That's the way it is. And companies were desperate, so they'd hire them. Well, they'd interview and do it for another company, and they were working for 2 or 3 companies at the same time.
Wow.
So today, the companies are looking at your resume. They're going to look you up on LinkedIn. They want to see, because LinkedIn is a trusted authority. They allow you to be verified by government ID, which shows that you have been verified and you're legit. It also shows your history, how you communicate. Are you active? How many connections do you have? So, for example, I interviewed a recruiter just recently, and I was looking at their LinkedIn, and the resume looked great. I looked at the LinkedIn and I said, you've been doing this for like 5 years and obviously been very good at it. But your LinkedIn, you've got like 300 connections. You don't even have 500. And they go, oh, yeah, I just don't,
I don't, yeah.
I'm like, I don't even know if that means you're good at what you do, because we've changed the way we do things. We don't want to be sold to. We want to look, we want to see what's going on. If you're really active in what you're doing, if you're a health, safety, and environmental inspector, I would think you'd be posting things on LinkedIn that were of interest to you, to your field, right? If you're a chef and you're on LinkedIn, wouldn't you be posting pictures or have a link to Pinterest or one of these other ones where you would always be showing what you created? I mean, you have to show authority and trust today. And so the biggest thing I can say, you don't have to be an incredible writer, for one thing, because ChatGPT will help you write one, right? They'll help you.
Yep.
Just take it and then put your own words in, like use it as a foundation. But you can literally use your LinkedIn profile as a resume, and that's what you should be doing, number one. And then number two, follow up, communicate. If you see a job and you apply to it, don't just hit apply. Go do some research, find out about the company. I interviewed a person last year. I really wanted to hire this person. The first question was, tell me something unique about our website. Tell me something that's unique about us. I mean, I was like throwing bones trying to get her, just give me anything.
Anything that she's like,
tell me you did a little bit of research.
yeah.
She said, I didn't. And I went, I'm sorry, I'm out.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't put any time in, but you expect me to put my time in. So it's a double-edged sword out there. And the ghosting thing is pretty bad and it's sad to hear.
Yeah.
But also posting and praying, just applying and praying that's going to happen. That's not the right way to do it. You got to put some effort in it as well, and it will show, and you'll get someone who will care. And when it's the right fit, it'll happen for you. But yeah.
No, wise advice. I think you have to use LinkedIn wisely. You have to use Chat GPT wisely. What I use it for is simply I put things in my own voice, and it might make it better, and then I might tweak it, but I'll never go with what it says. It's just help tweak things a little bit. And so, the post I might put out about the podcast, I'll say, all right, here's what I think about my conversation with Bill, and then maybe it'll come up with a couple of phrases that sound a little better, but don't rely, but use the tools wisely and get the message out there. Obviously, LinkedIn is indispensable for podcast hosts to get your message out there. So tell us a little bit. Let's shift gears a little. Tell us about your company and how you're helping make this thing better. Tell us what's the core idea behind your people process framework and how you're helping companies get to the goal, let's say.
Yeah. So, I started the company 21 years ago, and I started it out of our home, and I was only going to place IT, SAP, ERP system implementation people, which is a real niche-y kind of role. And 21 years later, I've never placed one of those. So we never even went down that path, never even went there, because we got into it with the idea of treating people the way you want to be treated, which, it's just so simple, which then really started just building on the idea behind a way to build a business and a process. And so that was very process driven. Being an IT guy and an IT background, it was very process driven about the way it was done, and then really recognized the people side of it and treating people with that respect and understanding that they're a human being, and that a job change and a career change, it's a very emotional effect that it has on people. And so you have to recognize that. So I was like, well, that's people in a process. And then the service piece of it was that customer service end of it, to do everything we could possibly do to make sure the customer, which in our field, we answer to two. We answer to the individual who's looking for new employment. We call the candidate. And then we answer to the employer, the one who writes us a check. And so we needed to recognize the fact that that candidate that's looking for a job, when we place them with the employer, our client, they move over. Like, we're in the middle. They all of a sudden flip over. Now they're a client. And if you don't treat the person well, and if their experience isn't a great experience, then when they get on the other side, that's going to be the end of you. Right. And so for the first 15 years, we were primarily contingent, which means we were only successful if we were successful in a placement. So we only made money that way. And so because of that, the level of what we had to bring to the table and what we had to do was just astronomical. And during that time is when I really discovered that People.Process.Service was something that we were kind of building these three pillars around, that we were building the company. And thank goodness I trademarked it. And what was interesting is that really looking into it more, realized that it wasn't just about business, but it was about the way that we ran our lives. And that, growing up or raising a family or going through life, you have a process of the way that you do things. And then the people that you surround yourself with, it's very interesting that when you look back over the years, you go through, you have this core group maybe, but it was a bigger group before, and it starts shrinking as you get older, and you surround yourself with different people, but you're always looking at the people in a different way. And then the service piece of it in your private life is, maybe it's doing podcasts, maybe it's something you do in your community or your church or whatever it may be. Those giving back things really played a part. And then recognize that as leaders, and it didn't even matter if you're a leader, I guess, or just as people, we really had these three pillars around it. But what was interesting was that when COVID hit, people, process, and service, we originally had thought about naming our 5-year warranty, which we'll, I'm sure, talk about.
Yes.
It was originally called the Promotion Protection Plan, PPP.
Really?
And that's the one that I missed. That's the one that I wish I had actually trademarked so that when we went through COVID, I would have owned PPP, because that would have been it for me. I would have been like, I'm out. But no, we did the People Process Service, and it's really been something that we follow every day.
That's super interesting, because this, as you know, is basically a CX, a customer success and customer experience podcast. But that's very similar in theory to what most of my guests in the CX world have preached: people, and then your process, and then your technology, or something like that. People first. Chris Hood says people first, technology last, AI maybe, and he's an AI guy, right?
So, well, and you don't realize it, right? You don't realize. I had this guy when we were doing the podcast, Adam Bernhardt. He was the manager. I don't even know the correct title, but the Bank of America building in downtown Dallas. It's 72 stories. At one time, it was like the tallest building west of the Mississippi. I think now maybe it's a little bit less, but I had him on the podcast about People, Process, Service. And he said, what are we going to talk about? I go, dude, you run a city. Do you not understand? Has no one ever said that to you? And he goes, no, nobody's ever brought that up before. You've got a police department, a fire department, a garbage, sanitary, clean. I mean, you run an entire city, electrical grid. You got a special room for how to get the trash. I mean, and it was amazing when you realize each one of those questions could be asked, even for somebody running a building.
Right. No, amazing. And the point about once you place somebody, they're the client, I never thought of, right? Because now they're the client. They're on the inside, and you place them. And so it really is. It's an interesting exercise in client management as well, which I thought was interesting about your approach.
Let me tell you about that too. That's scary, right? Because half the time that relationship it's not always a selling thing. Like, we don't look at it as we placed you there, now you owe us. And I think a lot of people do. So our attention and the way that we do things is very soft. Like, if there's an opportunity, great. And if there's not, we're okay. We're good. I mean, we don't judge a client based on whether we place 1 or 500 people a year, because at the end of the day, we still place people one at a time. And that's been the philosophy from day one. But it is important that like, we're never going to be like a Starbucks, right? Our name isn't going to be, and it's not going to be, we're not going to be Tiffany, right? You're not going to walk into Tiffany's and come out of there like, oh my gosh, that was an incredible experience. It's not going to happen. I mean, that's because it's just not the way it is. But we need to make it easy on people, and we need to let them walk away going, they actually communicated. They were with me the whole time. They didn't push me in a certain direction. And you know, in our field, an example of that is let's say our client offers a person a position at $100,000 a year, but we presented them at 90. And the only way they're going to take it is at 100. And the client says, look, the only way they're going to take it is at 100, but we can't afford to pay you guys the 100 fee. Well, it's okay. Just pay us at the 90. We're okay with that. That's what you do.
Yeah.
And that's the way that we've done everything, is just do what's right.
Right. And provide that. That's great, because you're providing that experience, right? Because the job search experience, first of all, the candidate experience, it is just, I'll say it, just terrible right now for the most part. Yeah. There are some folks out there doing it well and doing it right. But you see those posts out there, and it can be a terrible, nerve-wracking experience, especially if you've lost your job. If you're dealing from a position of strength where you're looking to move and you're a success, et cetera. But if you're dealing it from a position of you lost your position and some reduction, it could be brutal. So when
you're bitter, you're already bitter no matter what, right?
And the pressure's on, right? As opposed to you're just, all right, you know, if this works, if it works, if it doesn't, it doesn't. No harm, no foul, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So tell us. I want to get to that 5-year placement warranty. From 90 days. How did you go from 90 days to 5 years?
Yeah, so it's really a great story, and we had it. It was actually came out in a book called American Entrepreneur during COVID, or they wrote a chapter about it. And the story is that in the industry, this 90-day, there's two parts to it. Number one, it's a 90-day guarantee that you'll either do a replacement or refund the money when the person fails. Right? I mean, first of all, if you're a salesperson of any type or you have any type of heart, you don't sell on a negative, right? That's
Right.
that's horrible to know. So we've never done that. We've never sold on it. We don't sell on negatives. And so we started tracking this the first few years and found out, well, number one, we don't work for free, so we're not going to do that. We're going to change it up. But I was at a car dealership with our daughter and getting her first used car. And the person at the dealership said, this comes with it actually has a 5-year warranty. And our daughter looked at me and said, "Hey, Dad, that's kind of like what you guys do." And I started laughing. I go, "We would never do a 5-year warranty." And then she gave me that look that only a daughter can give a father a look. And I'm like, maybe we should look at this. And I brought it back. I talked to the managers and everybody in the office, and they all thought I was crazy. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to take you off site. We're going to go lock ourselves in a room. So I took them all to Vegas. We locked ourselves in the Bellagio in a conference room and didn't come out for 8 hours until we figured it out. And we figured it out. And we said, in the meantime, we'd actually pulled our stats and we looked at what actually was happening. And what we found out was that our clients things go wrong. Look, a good hire can go bad. It happens. But there's usually something that takes place along the way for that to happen. The interview process, the job description, something changed. There's usually more to the story than Bobby just went crazy and we got to get rid of him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we found out that actually our people were promoted within the first 120 days, less than a year even, to a new position. They got a promotion, not like once or twice, like 9.5 out of 10 times. And so we went, that's when we came up with the idea to say, let's call this a promotion protection plan. And it basically works the same way that we said, if our people make it that long, and we've already worked on the position before, and I just got done telling you, we don't care if we place one person or 500. Some of those clients, we would place one person and not hear from them for 2 or 3 years. Now, other agencies might place people with them, and that's okay. But when we did a survey, we had an outside company do a survey. The outside company said they absolutely loved you guys. I mean, we were winning, always winning these awards. Loved the service, loved everything about it. But they didn't want to pay you a fee again to fill the exact same position. Now, I want you to think about that. The company that hired us, that we were successful for, that got a person that got promoted, didn't want to pay a fee again. And so we call them. We're like, well, why? And they go, well, we like you guys. There's nothing about it. We're going to use somebody else. Why wouldn't you use the same company? Well, we don't know. We just didn't really think about it that way. And the reason is that they were sold, and it has been inbred. I mean, we've actually had people tell us, you can't have a 5-year warranty. It's 90 days. That's what you have to do. That's the rule. It's been such an inbred topic and status and a way of doing things in our industry that HR departments and hiring managers, that's what they believed. Mm-hmm. And that's the way it was going to be, that we already paid them once. Let's use somebody else because that person, they left or they went on or whatever, even though it was past the time, nothing to do with us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we came up with the idea after looking at the stats from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that said the average tenure at the time was 1.8 years on a job. And right now it's like 1.4 years before they make a move. And the team said, look, we need to come up with options for our clients. And that was the beginning of the warranty and the next part and phase for our company, which was options. That our industry we're horrible at we're horrible at two things. You would think we'd be great at negotiating, but we're pitiful.
Oh
Number one.
no.
And then number two, we have no options. You can hire them directly or hire them as a contractor. Okay, well, I don't want to do either one. All right, well, have a great day.
I mean,
Yeah. Or it was, well, I can't afford to pay that much. Well, that's what it is. Have a great day.
Mhm.
And so the team said, we need options. And so over the last now, 11, 12 years since we've been doing this with the warranty and everything, we have been creating options. And so I'm actually pretty excited. It's the first time I've really said this publicly, but on our website, we have a pricing page. And we literally say on there, have you ever seen a staffing agency or executive search firm that has pricing? It's like, nope.
No.
Nobody puts pricing because that's not what they do. But yet every time I go to a website, the first thing I'm looking for is what's it going to cost me, right? And I'm like,
Right.
why don't we have pricing? Why don't we open about this? I mean, why don't we show them options? And so we started coming up with these options, just like the 5-year warranty, to say after a certain amount of time, up until the 5 years, we'll basically try to replace them again, but we're only going to charge you half of that percentage of what we did. And there's a lot of caveats to it, obviously, and that's the negotiating piece. And so that allows everybody to come out as a win. The story I tell on this thing, though, is when it comes to sales and selling and that experience, right? And that everyone wants to walk away and be happy. My wife and daughter have never, and I've been married 31 years. They have never once come home from shopping on a weekend somewhere like New York City and walked in the door with their bags and said, look what we paid for full price. Ever. Ever. And I said, we have to figure out how to make that experience just like that. And that was the beginning of our travels of that customer experience. How do we try to brand and get our name that right way? How do we leave the right mark? How do we try to do the best we can? We can't make everybody happy. I mean, we all know nobody can, but give them options. Ask them, what do you want? I mean, I don't understand why it's so difficult to say, just tell me what you want.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like this. Just tell me. And then you can go yes or no. And so that's the 5-year warranty came out. We launched it. I got hate mail for about 6 months.
That'll happen, right?
People started picking it up and doing it. We had somebody else that brought it up. It's out there. The key is people can't figure out how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. And that's called greed.
Yeah.
Companies get greedy and they can't figure out how to make the experience a good experience for their customer.
And that's what it's about. And that's what the show's about. So that is a very interesting take on the hiring process and your organization, because that's what blew me away about you and your firm is that there's this kind of CX. It's intentional, but you probably wouldn't call it that. But it's very similar in concept to a lot of the concepts we talk about on the show. And it's making a seamless experience and making it a positive experience and an appropriate experience. Because I like that you said that you can't always make it a wow. A lot of people talk about the wow moments and all that. Okay, it depends on what you do, right?
Yeah.
But this is, like I said, it's job search. It's tense. It's stressful. And I think you're alleviating a lot of that stress and that uncertainty that makes it a miserable process for a lot of people.
Right.
But just comment on the full price. I love it because we talk about my world and investments, the RFP process. Client, never as a client ever, I think, in investment servicing gone out to RFP and said, "Can we pay you more this time?"
Yeah. No. It's not what it's. I mean, that experience and for them to walk away is so important. And here's the other thing: we live in a world with an HR department of a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And an HR human resource department. They are non-revenue generating. They're a non-generating revenue expense to a balance sheet to somebody, right? They have to go back and explain their cost. And if they can't go back and go, oh, look at the deal we got, they're going to lose their job.
Right.
And when it gets tough and they start cutting, where do they cut? But if they can go back and go, look how much money we've saved because we partnered with the right people. And it's not just us. I mean, other companies are smart about the way they do it as well. But that gives them that little extra leg up. And that's what they're looking for. And that means that experience is good. And our belief has been that if they have a good experience, they're going to tell somebody who's going to tell somebody. I always do the shampoo commercial, and that ages me because they don't play that anymore. But,
I
they,
do know that commercial, believe it or not.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, that's what you want. I mean, it's much easier today to do that. We don't get as many shout outs for something positive. That's another kind of weird deal, I think, in society today. We're so gung ho immediately to strike down any negative and cast stones onto people, but we're not so aggressive when it comes to a good experience. So we try. One of our things we did a few years ago is we partnered with Trustpilot because we knew that the reviews would be real, and we knew that we gave people a forum and asked them to really be honest about things. And so that has really been able to shine, because if you open up to the Google reviews and let everybody and their brother, there's absolutely no safeguards.
Yeah.
Anybody at any moment. I mean, we get people that write bad reviews on us because we don't place welders. I'm sorry. We don't place welders, right? If you had actually gone to our website and taken a moment instead of just dialing and then being upset and immediately clicking to go, they don't write welders 1 star, or, I don't speak Italian. I think we had one do it on recently. I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't know. But it goes back again. Every industry is so different, but there's not a set line of rules, right?
Right.
And so when you have companies that will say, well, this is what you do, we only do this. Hey, we respect that. That's what you do. We don't. We give you options. And if you want to be stuck in, 1975, that's great. But we're way ahead of that, and we're not trying to rip you off. That's another thing, right? All of us feel like that. It's like, and I hate the analogy of the used car salesman, because I think used car sales guys, for the most part, just like any sales guy, are very well educated. They got to know everything about a car. I don't know everything about a car.
Yeah.
So why do we beat them up? It doesn't make sense. I'm not trying to pull a fast one on you.
Right.
It's right here. If you're smart enough, you can figure out that I'm not doing that. And I put it on the website now. It's like, I'm not hiding it.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's there and we can still negotiate, right?
Right. Yeah. No, amazing. Because it's always been top secret. I felt like
You're right.
We don't talk about that.
You're right.
That's not to be discussed. Yeah. And I always go, well, what the hell is it? How much are they getting paid?
Yeah.
Because it's my future here, my job, and I want to know what the hell's going on, because I might, So
that's right.
That's a really interesting concept that I hadn't even thought of that. I mean, I have thought of it, but what I've thought about is it's like top secret. Nobody ever says anything.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So, all right. So we've only got a few more minutes in the regular segment before we hit the segments. I got like 9 other questions, but
all right. Sorry. I'll be quiet.
No, not at all. This is great. I want to just talk work from home real quick. Because to me, that's a big one. As I play Mr. Dad in the afternoons because my wife works after schools. So she's there late a lot and has a bad commute. So I need, a lot of work from home kind of stuff. So I've always been big on work from home. And it's obviously we've been going in the opposite direction for some good reasons that you just pointed out. But I think sometimes for some not so good reasons. So where do you think we're going with that? And where is it going to settle, in your opinion?
Well, it's another really, if I had a crystal ball, right? I mean, here's the problem. We have tons of real estate, commercial real estate.
Yeah.
Office furniture is insanely expensive. The resale market for it is horrible. In fact, when we started kind of downsizing and changing, because we've gone to, I'd call it 90% kind of remote, which makes sense. We had spent almost $1 million in furniture in our corporate office, and I called some guys and tried to get some quotes, and they came in and said, $10,000. I said, $10,000? You're going to give me $10,000? They said, no. We're going to charge you $10,000 to get it out of here. I think that's when companies looked at it and said, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And they also, that was part. So financially, I think there's part of it. The other part is the work ethic has changed, and that's a problem, right? Companies just our number one, we went through what was called the Great Resignation in 2023. And so you had companies with people quitting, and they weren't really quitting. It was like fake quitting. They had a job, but they really were never going to take it because they knew if they went to their boss, they'd get a 20% raise. The boss was going to give them a raise because they knew they're going to have to hire a recruiter and pay them 25% of their salary and retrain them. And so the companies were giving out all these adjustments and keeping the people, and they ended up getting burned. And we warned these people, don't do this. It will come back to haunt you. Today, it's haunting them. But the companies that had them all remote said, we're not getting the same productivity out of them as we did when we were in the office. And so you're coming back in, or 4 days a week, maybe and a half. I don't know where it's going to be. I think you have to have a mix between everything. Individuals like yourselves, families. First of all, if you're paying for anyone to be in a daycare, a child, it's insane.
It is,
right?
Right.
It's just stupid.
Right.
And if you're in a city like New York City doing that, you're paying college tuition. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So how do you afford to do all of that? You've got to have some flexibility. I think in the coming years, as we see the workforce shrink, which is exactly what has been going on for the past 10 years anyway, we will start to see companies become more lenient, but they will have more process in place. The reason that they fail is that they don't do a good enough job of communication and expectations of what that remote worker needs to accomplish on a day-to-day basis, period. And that's still a problem because we're living in this limbo. I call it BC as in before COVID, and then you're after COVID.
Yep.
And people that were employed or went through things during COVID, especially the kids graduated from college, they still have some PTSD from that stuff. I mean, it's still ridiculous, and they're not used to the work environment in an office either.
Yeah.
And I don't think companies recognize that. Like, they started working remote during COVID right out of college.
Yeah.
They never went into an office. Now all of a sudden you want them to be into an office every day. Now, when I went into an office every day, even before COVID, we were still dress slacks, dress shirt, sport coat at least, if not a tie once or twice a week even. I ask a kid today what a tie is, and they're like, I don't know what it is, right?
My kids barely have anything. They have a couple of college shirts and maybe one pair of pants.
So then we've changed it to completely business casual. I mean, I think in the next 5 years, it'll kind of swing back to more this hybrid type of thing. I think parking, if you have to pay for parking anywhere, parking expenses are stupid too.
Right.
Companies don't want to pay that, and people don't want to pay. And we all know how public transportation is for 90% of the country.
Right.
So I don't know. I think you're going to see some change. I just don't think it's going to be as free willy as it was before.
Yeah. No, it's and I always say it depends on what you do and what the company is, right? There's obvious examples of that where that you can't work from home, but if you're working at a big company and you're in an office and you're working with people who aren't in the office, what the hell's the point, right? And so
I'll tell you a funny one. We have a pharmacy division, so we place pharmacists and pharmacy techs, and we had a position working on, and had a great candidate. And got all the way through. And they said, well, I really want to work remote.
In a pharmacy.
And I was doing like a final prep before we were submitting. I said, well, you're a pharmacist. You're like, you can't do this unless you got like a drug lab at your house. That's not an option.
Right.
Like, even doctors doing teledoc can do it over the phone or remote and things. But like the door greeter at Walmart,
right?
That is job security, buddy. Okay,
right.
Until they replace that person with a robot. And until then, that person, somebody has to be there physically.
Yeah.
And so you're right. Certain things that you can't change it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the robot in Stop and Shop in a while, but
I had to mix me a drink in Vegas not too long ago, and that scared the hell out of me.
Oh, Jesus. So yeah. But I mean, there are obvious examples of that. But you need to use some common sense. And I agree on the younger workers. I've had this conversation with a few recruiters. It's with children who are in that, we're now graduated. Obviously, mine are still school age. But right, you get in the office and work like we did. But someone like me, I've worked in an office for 30 years. I don't necessarily, depends on what you're doing. So,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
enjoy being in an office as well, but it's just, I'm at the stage of my life where I can't do that 4 or 5 days a week unless it was around the corner. So
Right.
interesting stuff. All right. So let's move over to the segments. Okay, it's time for Does It Hold Water, my favorite segment. This is where I ask our guest to be our resident expert witness for the day. I read a quote, a piece of thought leadership, and our guest is going to let us know if it holds water or not. Here we go, Bill. You ready?
I'm ready.
I got to paraphrase it a little bit. I read this on LinkedIn a couple weeks ago, and the quote is this: "Telling job seekers to just network is like telling someone stuck in a rainstorm to just find an umbrella. Helpful in theory, useless if you don't have one."
Yeah. No.
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 Yeah.
You got to network.
You got to get
right?
out there, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, what is your prefer? What advice could you give people to network? Because it's hard if you don't know people. I think it's hard to go out and say, "Hey, I love your company. Can you tell me more?" or whatever it is. Because you might get somebody say, "Yeah, sure, hi, whatever." You have your little coffee talk, and you never
Yeah.
hear from them again. So I think
Yeah.
that's what it's getting at.
So one of the beautiful things about LinkedIn
Yeah.
is we've been talking about it so much. Groups.
Mm-hmm.
So LinkedIn has groups. Join groups.
There you go.
Join discussion groups where you can participate. And then LinkedIn also gives you a lot of information on your profile called analytics, which will tell you about the number of connections. If you're going to be on LinkedIn and do anything, you need to get to 500 connections. Okay. At 500 plus, it stops showing the number. Get to 500. And then when you're connecting with these people and individuals, they're posting. There's another stat that's on there. It's called engagements. Engage. And engage means communicating. And so communicate, comment. Don't just give them a thumbs up. Don't like things. This is not Instagram. This is engagement.
Yeah.
So have a conversation. Talk about an experience. You can actually write things and post it on there. But engaging in conversation is a human trait that we need to continue, and that will lead you everywhere you want to go.
Yeah, agreed. And there's also, you can find online webinars, and people are doing things out there. But I've met a bunch of people doing those, just client experience type meetings on Fridays,
Yep.
and I've built a bunch of connections that way, and people who listen to my podcast now. So
That's right. That's right.
so
Listen to
use
podcasts.
so use it wisely, I think, is the message. I don't think the author of that quote was saying not to use it. I just think they feel bad for people without that kind of big network. So the point is, build the damn network.
That's right. That's right.
You got to do it now. I mean,
Right.
you if you don't have it, start doing it. Right.
That's right.
Okay. So it's time for chip shots. These are my fun yet shorter form questions, professional in nature, but a little bit lighter. We try to go 3 or 4, time permitting, and we always start with the book one, Bill. What is one book that has significantly influenced your professional or personal life?
In Search of Excellence by Tom Peters.
Yeah.
Read that. I read it in 1984 when I was working for a grocery chain, and I think it was 1984. It's a long time ago, but it really stuck true. It talked about a grocery chain, and it also talked about a large automotive company or dealership here in the Dallas area, the Sewell family, and their service level, what they did for their clients. It's always stuck with me. Tom Peters, one of those individuals that I've just always loved to follow and read also, but probably my favorite book of all time.
Oh, awesome. That's one I don't know. So there's a new one for everybody. Good one. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go with the leader question. I have to, you lead a company. So this is one of my favorites. If you could spend the day shadowing a leader, professional in an industry, who would it be, and what would you hope to learn?
Okay, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right. All right. And I have to say, like, God rest his soul, because he has passed away now.
Yeah.
It would have been Herb Kelleher, the founder and CEO and creator of Southwest Airlines.
Oh.
And if I had had a chance to spend a day with him, there would have been just this whole long list of things that I would have come away with. But the number one thing is that I would have come home smelling like an ashtray, because he smoked like a chimney, and I would have had to have a cigarette with him, and I don't smoke. Okay. But that guy had a way of putting his arms around people and getting them to do things and inspiring in a spirit that no one else has ever been able to do. I was on a flight one time. He was on the flight, and this was pre 9/11. I was flying from Dallas to Houston, and he came through, and the first thing he was giving away was 2 round trip tickets, and it was the ugliest picture on your driver's license. And he walked through the aisles, and if you had the ugliest picture, you had to show it to him.
Yeah.
It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, right? And I thought, this guy has not only got his employees loving him, but look what he's doing with the passengers, right?
Yeah.
And then I thought, okay, well, that's going to be it. Now, then he did a deal where he took a roll of toilet paper, and they wanted to see how long the toilet paper roll would last. Someone stood at the front of the plane, ran to the back of the plane, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, seriously, right?
Yeah. That's great.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I just thought, and he was, I heard him speak at multiple chamber meetings and Dallas events and things where I had an opportunity. And one time I actually had that personal opportunity to meet him, shake his hand, and got a picture signed. And just one of those legends of all time.
That is fun. That's a great one. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
True story. When he passed away or left the company, his office, they had to tear it down because of the smoke.
The smoke? Oh, God.
When he was still running the company, and you weren't supposed to be smoking. Oh, he still smoked.
Oh,
he didn't
sure.
care.
I can't even imagine having to work when people could still smoke. I can't even. Oh, God.
Genius, though. Just an absolute genius.
Yeah. Oh, funny stuff.
Missed. Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's go with the habit or routine for you. What's one habit or routine you've cultivated? Maybe one habit or routine you could suggest for job seekers that could contribute to their success or your success?
I have a horrible, horrible habit. In my family, that's what they tell me. They don't like this because I respond to everything, and I have a 24-hour rule, and so I make sure that I don't necessarily respond immediately when something comes in. But I flag it, I categorize it, and I move. And I'm talking about my in-mail and my inbox and communication. And then it's interesting because it's so important going back to the communication of things and having some type of a process. But I won't go to bed if my inbox is over 100 emails sitting in there. I won't. I mean, I'll get it down to that number. This morning when I got up and I looked at it, I had 300 and something. Before we got on to do this early afternoon, I had it down to about 220. It'll be back close to 300. I'll go through all of those or flag them for tomorrow within 24 hours. But that habit is a weird habit because even when you're on vacation, I've never had an out of office deal.
Yeah. No, I'm an inbox cleaner too. I cannot deal with the unknown out there. It doesn't work for me.
No, it drives me crazy.
It drives me crazy too. Bill Kasko, what a great guest. Let everybody know where they can find you, please.
Yeah, visit our website, just the name of our company, frontlinesourcegroup.com. Check us out on LinkedIn. It's the best place, if you can't tell, that I've been talking about it the whole time. Go to our company page, click on it to follow, send me an invite, say you heard me on here with Gary, connect with me there, follow me. But yeah, reach out, and we would love to help you on either side. Help you whether you're looking to make a career change, have an opportunity, or you're looking to hire some great people and you need that help and advice, or just looking for a sounding board and an option. Always great to meet and visit with people and share experiences.
Awesome. Bill, thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for watching Your Customer, Your Success. We'll be back with more CX leaders, customer success leaders, and there is a rumor I'll be doing another solo episode soon, so look out for that. Thanks, Bill. This was great. So much fun.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope you found something insightful that will enhance your experiences and drive your success. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a review and share your thoughts to help us improve the show. Don't forget to head on over to marracxhub.com for more ways to connect with me and learn more about experience management. Until next time, I'm Gary Marra, working hard for your customer and your success.